right, everybody, welcome to KC Happy Hour, episode number 71, but our first of the new year. My name's Xander Clemens, your guys' host. Tonight, joining me will be Matheus Morgatto and Marijn Kremers, a couple of world champions. Of course, Matheus Morgatto, the 2022 OK Senior World Champion, Marijn Kremers, the 2020 KZ World Champion, and reigning Superkarts USA Pro Tour Pro Shifter Champion as well. It is the start of the new year. We took last week off to have a little more holiday time, but of course, in that time, we were able to drop our broadcast schedule. I'll go through that a little bit more in the show. A little bit of news kind of dropping slowly but surely throughout the last couple weeks. We've started our season here in just a week and a half time with the Superkarts USA Winter Series. We've got 30 broadcast weekends on the schedule. We've also got a number of extra weekends that we're going to be having a KC presence at around the country. I'm hoping to get out to a bunch of regional and club races as the year goes. Here's a look, of course, at that 2023 National Series schedule. We start the year over at AMR Motorplex with the SCUSA Winter Series. We've got pretty much all the major nationals with the exception of the Challenge of the Americas Series out on the West Coast. That'll run in some of those gap weeks. You can check that coverage through eKarting News, and our friends over there, Rob Howden and Mike Smith, will be trading broadcast commentary duties throughout the duration of that championship. Of course, that one being big news that was broken a few weeks ago, that they're expanding the OKN class to include all major manufacturers that are going to be in it and go into the full FIA CIK standard that the Star Series is going to follow, which is a series that, again, has been making some big strides in growth throughout the year. We're excited to get to all these events. Of course, we weren't at Rock Vegas. We've got a great relationship with the Rock Cup team, and we're able to get ourselves back onto the schedule, lock in for Vegas, Rock in 2023, as well as the entire Florida Winter Tour. So it makes our Florida and winter schedule pretty packed with at least a couple events per month. And then, of course, on top of that, like I said, we got regional series that we'll be streaming again in 2023. We've got the Texas Sprint Racing Series back for the full calendar. The Buckeye Karting Challenge over in Ohio we'll cover, and we'll be making it to the season finale, I believe, of the Northeast Karting Challenge up at New Jersey Motorsports Park. So that showcase series. We're going to do things a little bit different kind of at the regional level. The national events obviously are a little bigger in scope. There's more a bigger team that we bring to those races. We talked about Supernats 25. That's a big team. So that's almost a 20-person operation. The regional events a little bit less, but a little different type of vibe. We're not trying to, make everything seem so pro and just focus on the absolute upper echelon. We want to show some of the great parts of the sport, and that's the community and every bit of the racing in it. And that's what was so cool to see over the last month and a half, really, of the support everyone's given us going into this year. It's a packed schedule, 30 weekends with all those, plus a few more. It'll keep us very busy. We leave actually first thing in the morning tomorrow to make the trek over to Homestead, Miami, to get some coverage and a lot of preseason stuff during the unofficial test weekend that'll happen the week before the SCUSA Winter Series finale. A bunch of major teams and drivers are there as well. And then again, back to the national schedule. The Rotax National Trophy at Newcastle Motorsports Park will also be on that calendar. It's the only doubleheader weekend we have this year with that and a Texas Sprint Racing Series event the same weekend. Everything else, we've got one weekend almost every weekend of the year this year, at least even more than last year. We've got racing coming your guys' way. Broadcast-wise, we'll be at even the Rotax Winter Trophy, which will be, in the 2 weeks after the Rock Winter Tour opening round at Tropicana Field in Tampa, before the opening round, or the the third and fourth round, second weekend and finale of the SCUSA Winter Series. Just doing press coverage there. I'll be down there as the announcer. We'll have some social posts coming out. So a shout out to those guys for bringing us over there as well, and kind of a lighter setup, even lighter than maybe a regional series stream, but similar to some of the stuff that I want to do throughout the year. Is we just, again, expand a little bit with what we're doing in a safe and sustainable way as much as we can throughout the year, to just keep kind of, growing the whole reach of the sport and everything that we've been doing. But let's go ahead. Let's get into it. With all that said, I mean, this stuff, it's no secret. It's a lot. I say it all the time. Before we bring Matheus and Marijn in here, I wanted to cover a couple things really quickly. And that was, it's such a huge thank you to all the series and all the marketing partners that we have to make any of this possible, to have even a bigger 2023 than what was already just a mega year in 2022 for us. And, we've grown, we've had an amazing support from all you guys in the community. And as great as all that is, that's a lot of pressure we put on ourselves to try and keep upping our game each weekend. It's a lot of, a lot that weighs on me at night sometimes, that makes it, a little bit tricky to deal with all that stress. But for anyone that's had their phone on or had their TV on in the last couple of days, especially in the last 48 hours, there was some sobering and humbling instances that, make me especially personally think about how, minuscule in the grand scheme of things, all the little stresses of life really can be, right? We had a shock to start 2023, to say the least. For anyone who was watching the Monday Night Football game last night, it was a sight that racing fans have become way too familiar with Damar Hamlin on the Buffalo Bills being treated for CPR on the field after a collision, then being transported to the hospital, still in the ICU, still in critical condition today. The game was suspended, postponed, pushed off, all the teams. I mean, the sight there was something for sore eyes. And then on top of that, right almost at the same time, we lost a legendary innovator in the motorsports world in Ken Block in a snowmobile accident yesterday as well. And when we talk about, motorsports, he's a name synonymous with it. But in terms of media, I mean, Ken Block's reach with the Gymkhana videos, with the stunts, with the drifting, with the rallying, with everything that he's done, I mean, he really was a pioneer in a lot of ways, very similar to so many others that have come before him and have come since. His daughter is just getting into the scene and doing it as well. And such a legend. And, you see instances like that realize that we are just so lucky to even be doing what we're doing. And, it personally, for me, again, as much as it seems like it is to juggle, what we get into and the small little rivalries that we have, the grievances that come up in our sport. There's no shortage of it anywhere. Little negatives and hiccups to look at. Even in the last year, you can go back and find, stuff we've had. And at the end of the day, that, what matters the most is being able to live this life and have all of these precious memories and amazing opportunities to just get to do, what we get to do every single day. And I just wanted to take the moment first to honor both of them. Obviously, thoughts and everything on everyone's mind about Damar Hamlin with the Bills and what he's going through. I can't even imagine what his family and with the spotlight that's on the NFL and for him, and the media and the press and all that comes with it. And it's trying to, grieve and at the same time, stay positive for him. And then in the case with Ken, to grieve in such an instant, to lose such an icon, it brings you back to what matters the most. And it was something I wanted to touch on here because, even doing these shows sometimes week to week, it can be, a little bit draining. And the schedule we have, like anyone in karting or anyone in motorsports, a passion industry like this, it's long hours. It can have a lot of things to worry about and keep you up at night. It's not just me. I just happen to have a platform that lets me talk about it in the ways that I like to. And, all those problems seem so small, just the fact that I had another day today where I'm able to, wake up and call my parents and my friends and text them and, again, be able to load up and try to make everything work to get us on the road to Homestead, Miami tomorrow. So a little bit of a somber start to tonight, but we do have really good news and we do have some talented drivers coming on board when we get set to go in to the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex and kick off the year. Joining me here, of course, it's Mr. Matheus Morgatto. First of all, Matheus, obviously I know the connection's a little bit less than desirable for yourself, but that's because you're not where you're normally used to being. You're near a racetrack, you're in the hotel, you're already in Homestead. First of all, my friend, thank you for joining the show. And what has got you in the States so dang early? I mean, we aren't even close to the test weekend yet. Were you driving already today?
So, first of all, I need to thank you, Shander, for the invitation to be here today. It's always a great thing that I've been watching almost every time I can, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, yeah, I'm actually in Homestead today. I didn't drive today. Today we went to the beach, so got some sun, and I think we start driving tomorrow or Thursday. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, we're here.
Busy week ahead for yourself and, of course, Marijn Kremers. Quick dinner for you. Thanks for joining. You're right on time, my friend. Appreciate having you on the show once again.
Hi.
So, boys, let's get into what we got here. There's a couple things to touch on news-wise looking into the SKUSA Winter Series. First of all, it doesn't really affect you guys, but this was something cool that was, of course, the K100 Master Class. That was a big success at SuperNats 25. Already USPKS and a few other regional series have had or are adding the K Master Division. In the case of the SKUSA Winter Series, they are adding or replacing the X30 Master Class that got some lower numbers. The K100 Master Class was put on the entry list or entry option. It's got enough entries. It will be a class at the SKUSA Winter Series. That's a little less than relevant, but somewhat relevant when it comes to weight. And there were some weight updates that we covered quite a bit on this show. This is a screenshot actually from the registration for the SuperKarts USA Winter Series. You can see on the screen right there, X30 Senior back up to 360 pounds. The shifter weights were not affected in the original weight swing that they did last year. The K100 classes have also been kind of readjusted. The K100 Senior weight up 10 pounds from 345, which was a drop from 360, so going down 15, now back up 10. And whenever we talk about weight, I mean, this is a big talking point when it comes to not just American karting, but you guys both have raced overseas quite a bit. Matheus, obviously, with the Lennox Racing team, you've got racing overseas as well. That was another firestorm that came out over there with the OK Senior weight getting put up 5 kilograms to go a little bit heavier. So, Marijn, for you, I can speak to you as well because you are one of the taller drivers and you ran double duty this year in the X30 Senior class at SKUSA. How tight were you on lead personally in that class, and how much does that play into a factor for a fit driver like yourself?
I mean, I'm very happy that they went up 5 pounds because I was running no weight on the go-kart itself. I was on weight like just about most of the time, maybe 1 or 2 pounds over, but you want to be on the safe side anyway. So I don't think it really was a disadvantage for me, but I had to be careful as to what I ate and not to gain too much muscle running X30. So I'm happy they put it up 5 pounds. I'm a little bit more on the safe side now. Maybe I have to run a couple pounds of lead on the go-kart, which is just better for me at least. I think nobody really complains about running too much weight on the go-kart except the little kids that move up maybe a year too earlier, in my opinion anyway. So I think it's good running senior classes at a heavier weight.
I think that's a big point, right? Like obviously with our social posts, a lot of them are geared to the senior classes. We looked like a Matheus Morgatto fan page in the first 2 months of 2022 with how much you were winning, and then yourself later on in the year. But there's arguments that are made on them to get the lead off the go-kart, and thankfully we've never had a major incident of one of those much smaller drivers, young or otherwise, having a cart with a lot of lead go up over top of them. That's kind of the hypothetical, main argument from a safety perspective of making the carts heavier. But, to me, I think that, the kids that move up, the argument for them of going up early is usually they're only going up early for a year in senior at the end of the day. And then they're running that for a season and then moving on, because they have the backing, the circumstances are right. Maybe they did get an extra opportunity because of their performance in senior, but into car racing altogether, right? So we're not getting them for a long period in a class that's meant to be 15 and up, not 15 or 14 to 15 years old with a dash of other ones. And I think that the argument from my perspective to counter those guys is like, you look at, Caleb Gaffer and, his stellar junior year, throughout 2022. I mean, he racked up almost 30 main event wins on all the live streams, on a lot of press coverage. The EKN guys do, an awesome job at covering everybody. And the sport does as well. Even the streams, you got a lot of interviews, to the point where we're trying to not interview them too much. If you're looking, to go up in competition, sure, there's other drivers to run against that are at a high level with more experience in senior. But beyond that, I don't think it's a requirement, for those kids to get into cars, right? They don't need necessarily the achievements in senior to go. If he left the sport, I don't think he'd be in any less of a place than, let's say, Jeremy Fletcher, who had a stellar, 2022, or Connor Zilish in 2021, where they had one really good, senior season. And on the vice versa, right? Anyone of the age of 18 or older, usually, where you're a little bigger or even just a little taller, it makes it that much trickier. So, in your case, Marian, and then first to you, Matheus, like you said, I mean, as nice it is to cater to them, I don't think it really, in the grand scheme of things, matters. The junior class is still super competitive for them to learn the skills they need, and then it translates over, and then from like a padding your stats, as well. I think those wins can sometimes carry just as much weight as a headline senior win, when you look to have a decent resume. But I mean, do you talk to a lot of other people? Obviously, there's your selfish side as a driver where you want the weight to be safe for yourself, but being in the sport as long as you have, Marian, do you have more thoughts as well, like from talking to others and being under the tent on stuff like that?
I mean, reasonably, if you want to race senior, I think they should have the weight of normal, like someone like myself is a normal posture should be able to run senior with being a so I think weight being is, I think someone like Caleb, if he would go into car racing right now, would get a much different deal as if he would do a year in senior and everything. I think that the deal he would get in car racing would be the same. I don't think the car teams would look at it any differently. So I don't think those juniors need to be in senior per se to get a good deal for car racing or for their future. If they want to stick in go-karting, they can stick in go-karting. If they want to go to car racing, they go to car racing. But I don't think they would get a different deal running senior or junior.
Matheus, what about you? I mean, is this something that, has ever crossed your mind, or any conversations beyond yourself? You're getting to the point, you could say you're a veteran, right? Or you're almost 19. Am I right on that? How old you are now?
Yeah, I just turned 19 October.
Grandpa.
Yeah, a bit old now. But all Marijn said is correct. I agree with him in everything.
So let's talk then back onto you guys a little bit for this year. Short answer for you, but Obviously, English is not your first language. Matheus, I want to go to you for a little bit. I think, especially both of you guys, Marijn, we actually have a podcast we've been meaning to drop with yourself that details your story well, but we'll talk about that a little bit too. But Matheus, in your case, your career path has spanned multiple continents for almost more than even you've been alive at this point. How did you get to the position where you're at now? You're a factory Lennox kart driver, proper factory, and then over here sponsored in the States as you have been for a bit, culminating in that world championship last year.
Well, so as you say, they've raced in many countries, many places, but last 4 years I've raced in Europe. I did a few races in US. I started racing in US again this year. So my first time as a really factory driver was in 2019 when I raced for Tony Karts. Then since then I've been driving for factories as a factory driver, but this is my first year that I'm getting paid to drive, and not just for making coach. So it's something really good for myself because now I can say that I'm professional in the sport. Before was just, was just another driver, another factory driver. But as in the moment you start getting paid, I think you can consider yourself professional. So yeah, we see have everything to be amazing year. It'll be a bit hard because it'll be my first year in KZ. So I'll have to learn a bit with Marijn. Maybe I get to test a bit with him here. I did 5 days of testing in Europe and went pretty good, taking the first 2 days that I used to make 10 laps and was destroyed. But we see, I think we can do good here in X30 and in Europe in KZ.
So that's, I guess, the first question too, right? What does your schedule look like for this year? Because Marian's been living out of a suitcase going back and forth every which way. Last year for yourself, you were here stateside until the European season really started to get underway after the American winter season, and then we got you back in Vegas for the end of the year. Is that, again, kind of what it looks like for you, where it's the winter to start and then fully back over in Europe afterwards?
Yeah, it's because I think the first 2 months in Europe is not really good to be racing. It's really cold. So I'm usually a driver that don't like cold. So I prefer to stay on this side in the first 2 months. I think my first race in Europe will be in the end of March. I should make 2 or 3 WSK and then European and World Championship, both in OK and KZ. And I make as well all the season in the United States. So I'll be racing Pro Tour, USPKS, and Winter Tour, Winter Series. So yeah.
Oh, really? So all the USPKS stuff too in X30 for the regular season? Yeah. Really? Okay. Cool. And so
I think my calendar this year have about 13, 14 races in the US. So I think it's most of the races.
So we get you a lot more. Now, Marijn, where does that leave you with everything? Because last year you got kind of almost accidentally thrown into a double duty position, and then it ran through the whole season. So does that mean you're fully on too, especially now with USPKS having KZ just being gearbox, or are you running both once again?
So in the winter series for SKUSA, I'll be running X30, mainly because the shifter series, the shifter winter series in SKUSA doesn't seem to be very strong. We don't really have many drivers, and I don't expect many shifter drivers to be there. So I'll be doing X30. Then the Florida Winter Tour Rock, I'll be doing shifter. And then the rest of the year, as far as I know, it's just going to be shifter so far. But maybe here and there I'll be doing double duty again.
See, part of that obviously predicated if Matheus does his job, right? If he starts, sucking, then they have to bring you in. Is that going to be the case?
Basically, yeah. Matheus and Diego will both be doing X30. So depending on their results and my results, I suppose, this winter, then we'll see what I'll be doing the rest of the year.
Well, we'll wait on that, and we'll get a little more. Hopefully, Matheus has a good year. We're going to dive into a little more of that right after the break, everybody. But a quick little intro here to these two guys that'll be running in red. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to KC Happy Hour. Send in your questions here to these two world champions because I want to get a little more into their story, and I'm sure you'd like to as well. And we'll talk a little more preview stuff for the upcoming couple weeks. Stick with us, folks. KC Happy Hour rolls on. Kart Store USA is a kart parts supplier that racers and retailers can count on when they need reliable advice and service. We focus on servicing all racers with honesty and pride while maintaining customer satisfaction. We carry a full stock of Kart Republic and Tony Kart chassis, as well as IAMI and Vortex Rock engines. We've also got a host of other parts available and in stock, such as products from Rev Performance Materials, Jekko Racing Seats, and more. We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and on top of that, if your order exceeds $200, shipping is on us. Check out all we have to offer today by visiting us online at kartstore-usa.com.
At New Gen Motorsport, we're committed to using our 10-plus years of experience and knowledge to help grow the sport of karting from the bottom up. Our goal is to make karting more accessible to the average person, lessening the financial burden of getting started, and making the learning curve as small as possible. Our passion is training and developing drivers, mechanics, and engineers to not only be the best they can be in karting, but also for careers in the much larger world of professional motorsports. A strong foundation makes building bigger easier. Let us be that foundation for your karting and motorsports career. Be part of the new generation of motorsport. Contact us today to schedule your test day, arrive and drive race event, or to inquire about how we can help get you started in your own new gen racing kart.
Don't settle for a national engine builder. Take care of yourself with an international one. SRP Engines is a global industry leader in engine services, specializing in engine formulas such as KZ, OK, OKJ, and Mini 60. SRP Engines is the engine of choice for Magic Kart USA and helped power North America's #1 ranked pro shifter driver AJ Myers to the 2021 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour National Championship. SRP Engines can also service any spec engine class of your choice, including IAMI and ROC divisions. However, if you're looking for the absolute choice when it comes to KZ shifter engines, there is nobody better. For more information, contact Amar Sanada at srp-engines.com. KC Happy Hour is proudly presented by the Rock Sonoma Karting Championship, presented by Cameron Race Promotions, the most competitive Northern California karting series. Featuring a 2-day format with practice on Saturday and racing on Sunday, multiple track configurations, and a massive prize structure including tickets to Rock Vegas, race car test opportunities, and race rewards. Rock Sonoma is the training ground of multiple national karting champions each year and race car champions as well. Featuring a full Rock Cup USA class structure with each race weekend streamed live via YouTube, it's a series you cannot miss. For more info, check us out online at zanzarukarting.com. Welcome back, everyone, to KC Happy Hour. Joining me in the studio tonight, Matheus Morgatto and Marijn Kremers. So let's go back. Matheus, right, this is the first year you get actually a salary for racing go-karts. Talk me through, let's go back right to where you would you say a lot of that was the turning point being your performance at the OK World Championships, getting that world title this year, or were there talks even on getting an opportunity like that as the season progressed?
Well, it's a hard question to answer, but I think if the driver don't have good results, he don't deserve to get paid. And I think once you win a world championship or European championship, something like that, and you're old enough, the team should pay the driver. So yeah, for sure, having won the world championship, this helped a lot. And well, my deal is really good deal with PSL and with Lennox team. So yeah, I'm really happy about it.
And they, you go back to the World Championship weekend, right? There's so much we don't know for those that haven't been over in the international scene. Can you? Is there a lot that feels different? Does it a lot that feels the same, like another race weekend when you go to an event of that stature? From your perspective, is there anything that feels different for you?
Well, it's always different, especially when you know you can do good. I think during the week there's more pressure, and to me, I think I had a bit more pressure by starting first on the final, because I was like, I did the job until now, so I need to close like this. And well, it's always a hard race. It's always, people say, like playing the casino, because many drivers, putting myself in, like 2 weeks before the World Championship, we had the race in the same track, and I finished 8th, and I wasn't fast. I was behind some drivers that I mean, was not at the top level, and then going to the World Championship week, being the fastest since the beginning, was like really good. But I think in the World Championship week we always have a bit more pressure than in the other race weeks.
And Martin, what about you? Like, paddock atmosphere, atmosphere kind of under the tent. I mean, you've been pretty much BirelART your entire career, right? But could you describe what it feels like to be different, let's say, in a European international paddock compared to some of what your experiences have been, especially the last 2 years out racing stateside?
I suppose racing in Europe is just all a little bit more serious. Everybody is there to do a job, whereas like in America, there's kids just having fun, and even in senior level, there's just drivers that just are there to have fun and have a good time. Whereas in Europe, everybody is there to win and to do a job. So that makes it all a little bit more tension and a little bit more serious. And it's something I really enjoy about the American racing is that I can have fun and still do a good job, which I was missing a little bit in Europe. Like Matheus said, like in the World Championship, one of those races, there's a lot more tension in the paddock, and I think that's the main reason why it took so long for me to win one, is that those weekends there would just be too much tension for me, and I would choke. Where when I won the World Championship, I just went into that weekend thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go to have fun. I don't care about the result. I'm not gonna get caught up in all the tension of everybody. I'm just gonna go and have fun. I'm gonna joke around with my friends and just gonna do the best I can do without thinking about it too much. And that race I won, and I've gone into every other race since then in my career doing that, and my results definitely have improved. So I think that's a good thing for me, having a little bit more a relaxed atmosphere.
And is that, you talk atmosphere as a whole, like, is it under the tent almost feeling like a little less of a maybe unit or altogether team? Is there almost more, let's say, pressure on you guys, on everyone to perform, that the tension inside the tent, whether it's driver to driver or from the responsibility, feel different over there?
Not necessarily just in the tent. The whole paddock really just feels that tension. And in the tent, definitely some drivers, you can see it on their face where they just don't smile during the day, when normally they would be smiling and having fun. And I think I was one of those drivers in the beginning of my career where at a big race, I wouldn't smile, I wouldn't have fun. I would just be so focused on doing a good job where I actually messed things up doing that. So yeah, I think having fun and smiling a little bit is important, and that's what I try to put into the PSL tent as well. Where just some drivers they just don't smile at all during the day, and I don't like that. So like I try to have fun with them and joke around a little bit.
And we talk, about age, right? We joke with Matheus at him being older, but you find yourself in your early 20s. I mean, how much do you consider, your future as a whole, whether it's in the sport or outside of it? What does, your outlook both this year and the short-term future, look like?
It's fairly uncertain. I know I'll be doing something in racing for the rest of my life. I mean, I didn't go to school to become anything else, so I'm kind of forced in this part. But yeah, I don't know for how long I'll be racing for. I think a couple more years, but I don't want to be one of those drivers that's 40 years old and still trying to look for rides somewhere and scrape around like that. I want to go into doing something else, maybe start my own team, maybe become a team manager somewhere, or do some driver coaching, that sort of thing.
And we've had somewhat of an off season. There's always a little bit of testing, but this is the time of year when everyone has those calls. I mean, how much does that stuff weigh on your mind at this point in your life? I mean, I know this is somewhat generic question and silly coming from maybe a little bit someone like myself, because I don't know exactly what mine looks like either. But, I mean, does that weigh on you at all?
A little bit. Like I want to have a family one day. So like, I know I have to earn some money, but I'm in a fairly good position. I'm earning money racing. I'm earning money doing something I really enjoy. So I'm not too worried about it. I know I've got some money saved up at the moment, so I'm not too worried about my future. I know I'll be doing something. I know I can find a job in and around the paddock. So not too worried about it.
And Matheus, I mean, I don't want to talk about old man questions with you. I'd rather talk about, how you got to where you are, because it's still a little more fresh on your mind of just getting over that hump to be a little more sustainable. When you made the jump to go race over in Europe more often, was there funding you had to find? Was it kind of betting on yourself to maybe get to this point? Or, what was the thought process of the first year you went over there and decided to start running the international stuff?
Well, so in 2016, I used to race with Ariel here in US, and had a Mexican driver, that became my friend. His dad, since then, started sponsoring me, started helping me. So he was the guy that took me to Europe. My first race in Europe was the end of 2016. I made a Rock International final race, and it was really, really good. So for the next year, I received a good deal, but always with the help of the Mexican. And yeah, so basically he's the guy that took me to race in Europe. He's the guy that always have been here for me. And also this year I'll be doing some GT3 races in Europe, and he's the guy that is putting the money that we need to make the race. So yeah, he was a really important guy to me in my life.
And with all those deals, right? He's the sponsor you're able to find, right? How much of that negotiation's on you versus on him in the previous years to get to be able to race, right? Is it you doing a lot of the negotiation with each team and entertaining all those offers at ages of 16, 17, 18?
Well, so when I joined, when I became factory driver, for the first time in Europe, 2019, I was 16, 15, and was my decision. Because it was something he didn't have to put any money, so they were all paying for all my stuff. So when I received this offer, he was one of the persons that told me you should go as well. And then since then I've been deciding for myself. But like to race GT3 now, he's the one that decided. He's the one that took me to test. And well, before 2019, he was the one that was always looking for teams, always looking for the deals.
And Marijn, over to you, right? You go back, if I remember your story correctly, right? It's running your, was it with your father's team and shop out of the Netherlands, or a family or close friend that was the first deal, and then over to Patrizi course in Australia for a little bit and kind of back and forth? I mean, how much of that was coordinated through yourself and then through your family to get through, that whole journey to where you're at now?
So originally I started racing with my dad. He owned a team in Rotex. So I raced for his team in Rotex in the Netherlands and in Belgium. Then when I started racing internationally, we made a deal with the importer of the brand I was racing for at the time, the Dutch importer. So I became their driver in their official team, which then the year after I got picked up by the factory and became a factory driver for a year. Moved to Italy, and at that time I was just too young to do that. I was 14. I was living by myself there in Italy and very miserable. So the results weren't good. Moved back to the Netherlands, back to the Dutch team that I raced for, and the results immediately improved. And then I heard that Michael Patrizi in Australia was looking for drivers to come over and have a go. So I messaged Michael myself, set up a deal with him, and went over to Australia when I was 16 years old, just by myself. Met up with Michael, became great friends, and he's helped me ever since. I was a driver for his team for about a year. He's made all the connections with PSL for me, originally in 2016. And then Mike has been managing my career ever since. He's helped me get into car racing. Yes, I owe an awful lot to Michael for all that. He's set up all the connections with the BirelART factory as well for me, and has been dealing with all my contracts ever since. So yeah.
And what was the decision for yourself to come over with such a, an American base schedule last year, and then of course to bring it back this year, right? Like, where does that conversation go? You're off of the 2020 season. You've won the KZ World Championship. You've competed at Supernats. I think it was second the year before. In 2019, and then you go into 2021, and we see you here at Pompano Beach for Rock, and you get announced as a PSL driver for you spend more time almost, it seemed like, stateside than anywhere else. So where does that all come into the story?
It's all because I tried to go car racing, really. So in 2019, I won the World Championship. I also won the speed racing scholarship. For F4 racing, I was going to do that, but then COVID hit. It all got postponed, all got cancelled, and everything, all that. Michael called back to Ronnie, to Franco from TM, and we set up a deal for me to go back into kart racing with BirelART Factory with the Ricardo kart. Did that year in 2020 on Ricardo kart, became European champion, second in the World Championship, was very successful. 2021, I was going to go back to BirelART Factory official. Did that, and then at the end of 2021, Michael got a call by McLaren. I got invited to do the McLaren Young Driver Development Shootout. I actually won that as well. So for end of 2021, I spoke with Ronnie from Birel. We decided I was going to go into car racing the next year with McLaren. So I wouldn't need his help for the 2022 season. But then the McLaren program fell apart last second. So I was out of a drive, basically. And then PSL was generous enough to offer me a drive for them. So I was very grateful to get the opportunity from PSL very last minute. And very last minute, it all came together and ended up doing the full year over here.
Well, first of all, sorry about me getting the dates wrong. I should know it. We've talked about it way too much at this point, right? But I mean, that goes back on kind of your story, talking about how, every single year it's almost like going back into limbo and hoping you can find somewhere to land, right? I mean, that's the story of a lot of drivers in any kind of motorsport, but similar to you, right? Dealing with that, has that gotten any easier to deal with year to year of, trying to figure everything out?
I mean, I'm very thankful with the connections that I have and all the people around me that have helped me. I've been very loyal to the Birel brand. I think that's helped me as well. So like when I tried to move into car racing, they are very supportive of it, and they try to be supportive of it. And then when it doesn't work out, they're very welcoming and always take me back in. So I'm very lucky in that aspect. And then the limbo of finding a drive somewhere, like, that's not really in a problem for me, as I've always been loyal to Birel. So I've always had been able to drive for Birel. So I don't really have to find drives elsewhere.
Well, it makes it a little bit easier, I'm sure. Matheus, we've got the Homestead track map here. Let's look, though. It just barely cuts off one specific corner where last year you had a little slip up and Diego got by at the Winter Series. But we go back through it. This championship for you, this track's been so good to you in the past, right? I mean, when was your first race even over here? Was it in mini or in maybe micro rock when you came over and started first driving for Ariel? And how did that even start?
Well, my first race in Homestead was 2014. My race with RPG. I was micro, and I won the race on Florida Winter Tour Rotax. So this track has always been good to me. I won the Winter Series on this track this year, so I've raced a lot here. I raced 2017, 2016. So basically every year since I went to Europe.
And does it feel like a homecoming coming back to that track almost each year then?
I really don't know. I'm not a big fan of the track, but it's always nice to drive somewhere where I can always do good, that I'm always fast. So yeah, we can say it's a homecoming. I would say the Orlando track feels more like home to me because I used to live there for 3 years. So yeah.
Well, let's talk then Orlando later this year, and then in some of the other series this year, which probably won't have you guys involved. And Marian, you will be in KZ, right? We talk open versus spec racing. How much have you guys been following along both stateside and worldwide with the OKN packages? Obviously, Matheus, you won on the OK version of it. What can people expect from the dynamic? Marian, you first, of having this multi-manufacturer single speed class come into the States with OKN without knowing too much. What can you give some of these maybe parents looking on, drivers looking on? What is there to expect? Different, same, similar, in between?
Well, I don't know anything about OKN, so I don't know which engines will be best or whatever because I've not been at any of the tests. I think they'll be very reliable though, without all the Powervolve bits and all that stuff. So I think the OK engine in itself is a good package. They are pretty reliable as well nowadays. Not so much when they first started, but nowadays they seem very good. I think the OKN should be very reliable from the get-go. It'll be more like a junior OKJ engine, I think, which is very reliable. I've never seen one really break. So yeah, I think they all should be very reliable. Power-wise, I don't know which one will be best, but I think having multiple manufacturers should be good. Should be very competitive, and should have all the manufacturers pushing to find that little edge over the other person. So performance-wise, it should be very strong.
Yeah, I mean that's the different dynamic, kind of the unknown of how well the parity or not. You've been very outspoken on the X30 stuff here stateside yourself about where the equality in that class lies. I won't say it's a bad thing. I think it's meant to be good in theory, right? But all in lighthearted fun as well, But you've been on the under end of it. Do you see anything like that from what you guys have seen over in Europe with the OK stuff? I mean, Matheus, in your case, being Miami for the OK Worlds, did you just have a motor that was faster than everybody else, that was unstoppable, or were the other guys still pretty good for you? I know it's a tongue-in-cheek.
Well, it's something hard for me to answer because I'm not the one that controls the engines that are given. I mean, for sure, I had more power in the World Championship than in any other race weeks. And as I said, it was crazy because 2 weeks before World Championship, I didn't have power. So yeah, in the World Championship was just all amazing, all good. And I think KR had really good drivers, and I think they put all the, how can I say, they put themselves like with the driver that qualifies in front. I think I was the one that qualified in front, so they could maybe think that I could win the race. And I think I had the best things of the week by checking the data as well. It was all similar, but in some spots mine was better. So I'm really thankful for them. And yeah,
Well,
basically it is. I cannot say much more.
Yeah, I mean it comes easy at that point. It was I guess let's switch a little bit then. Let's talk direct drive.
I think the good
What do you got?
I think the good thing about the multiple manufacturers is that teams will be pushing their brand to be better and find that extra performance. Where, as in having just one manufacturer, as in like the X30, is just people buy 20 engines and try to put the best one together. So you can buy pay to win basically in that aspect. Whereas in having multiple manufacturers, there will be people pushing to find the right stuff and put them on the right drivers. I think it's a little bit more fair in team aspect that way.
And you've driven for the Birel factory team through, a good amount of races over the years. I think the part that some people might get like trapped up on is that, you know, it's not the same over here as it is over there, where there's direct, more factory ties, manufacturer to engine, where you're stuck with one for the season. Have you been a part of like a season or a couple races where it just seemed like not only did you guys not have the right stuff, but you couldn't even go to where you wanted to go, you know? And what was that like?
Yeah, I've had a couple seasons with Birel where we didn't have the strongest engine package, and we just had to make do and do the best we can with it. There were seasons where we knew going into the season it's just not strongest, but we are tied to this brand, and we're gonna push the brand all the way through. They had a bad period, but we're still pushing the brand through and believing in backing them. So hopefully when they do become the best, we're going to get the best instead of the teams that just try to follow it and pay for the best stuff. Yeah, it's hard, especially doing like the politically correct thing, just pushing and staying behind the brand that's maybe not the strongest that year, but it pays off in the end.
Are they, you know, how long was like a period like that, or the longest for you where you felt that? Did it last like an entire season until it seemed like everyone caught up, similar to like maybe F1?
Yeah, I think we spent 2 seasons on IAMI engines in Shifter when they definitely weren't the strongest. By the end of the year, we were happy with the top 5, and then once we moved to TM wasn't really the strongest, but then when they did become the strongest, we definitely got the best stuff because we backed them for so long, and that paid off really well. At the moment in OK, I think they struggled a little bit. They had a bad period for about maybe up to 4 seasons. 5 going into the 5th season now. I think they've been with TM. Definitely not the strongest engine at the beginning of the OK period, but they're pushing hard and they're coming a lot closer and closer every race. So yeah, it's starting to pay off now.
And the development, so the thing with OKN stuff, not only is it a restricted motor with less, you know, without the power valve, stuff like that, the testing they're doing, you've got a third party trying to bring them tighter together. It's not nearly as open as the, you know, the OK or the KZ class specs. You know, even KZ2 is a little different, but yeah, I mean, that's a dynamic I think that'll be interesting for us to watch, for you guys to experience, and any races that you'd end up in them stateside, as it could come to some of those bigger series. It may not. The X30 stuff may continue to rule the lay of the land, as it has with SCUSA and USPKS, and be a strong suit, and then KA as well. We've got some viewer questions coming, though. We'll wrap this up here a little bit because Matheus has a apparent team dinner we have to make sure that he makes it over to. Or did you guys get takeout and that's all off the table? What's the deal tonight? Are you good, Matheus? You said you had a dinner to go to here in 15 minutes. What are you looking at him?
Oh, no, it's because
we couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Do you have a dinner in 15 minutes or not? What's going on, Matheus? I'm trying to wrap this, or 7.
I've got my dinner right here.
Well, he took his dinner. I still need to go to take my dinner, but I mean, it's okay if we need to stay a bit more. For me, it's not a problem.
We'll make it quick. We'll take this quick commercial break, answer a few more questions. We have one just came in. It'll be coming right after the break. So we'll let you guys get to it and Matheus to eat. But some questions from some guys that have experienced a little bit of that open manufacturer racing, what it can be like, what may be to be expected on the Stars side, Challenge of the Americas side. And then, of course, we'll see them in action here in a little bit. Open manufacturers with KZ with Marijn soon enough. But then the single manufacturer with X30. Homestead Racing coming your way. More to come all together. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Ready to go racing along the Gulf Coast? Karting the Coast is a family-oriented regional series that covers Mississippi and Louisiana. Its 2023 schedule consists of 10 races spread amongst Finish Line Performance Karting in Biloxi, Mississippi, and NOLA Motorsports Park in New Orleans. To find out more, visit coastalkarting.com.
As the Western importer of the Praga and Formula K chassis brands, Leading Edge Motorsports is a high-performance kart shop and race team with a simple mission: teach others the joy of high-performance driving, supply our customers with the highest quality products and services, and most of all, win races. With our remarkable racing inventory, expert services, and top-ranked national-level team to back it up, we'll help to get your new kart racing package up and running fast.
From arrive and drive service to kart preparation and driver coaching to the parts you need to get you back on the racetrack, Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer. From 4-stroke to 100cc to 125cc and beyond, TechnoKart USA has a winning option for you. Based out of Des Plaines, Illinois, TechnoKart USA offers both chassis designed to win in all divisions in North American karting and a top-level race support program at the U.S. Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, select Cup Karts North America races, and both the Rock Vegas and SCUSA Super Nationals. Podiums, wins, and championships are waiting for you whenever you're ready to get on a TechnoKart. For more information, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TechnoKartUSA. All right, welcome everybody back here. Matheus, Morgatto, Marijn, Kremers joining me for the first of the year as they're readjusting, guys. I've had a few questions come in, and then a few just comments of love for you, Matheus, that are in Portuguese that I don't understand. So I'm just going to throw them on the screen here, and hopefully they're nothing too explicit. So let's see if you can read this first one. This is from Steven. Yo, congrats on getting Morgatto on. The rest, I'm not going to be able to translate. Can you translate what we have in this one here for me?
Well, basically, he's saying that he liked to have me here in the U.S. And especially the girls. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I mean,
is that it?
No idea.
Guy that's big into U.S. girls, Matheus? Yeah, you like U.S. women?
No, he's saying that the girls like it that he's there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, that we do have proof of. Our comment sections on TikTok absolutely show that. That was it. Let's see. We have one more. This is from. Is this your mom or relative here, Matheus?
No, that's actually my grandma. It's like my top one fan. She's on my Facebook page, top one fan. Yeah, it's her. She comments everywhere. So. Yeah, she's. I don't know what she wanted to say with that, but she also liked me to have me. I think she's answering Steven.
Okay, that makes sense. We're right after each other.
I don't know.
We have this one here. You guys got a lot in the room. Someone's convinced that Diego's in the room here. How many people do you guys have jammed into this? Oh, of course he is. The one guy that can't speak any English.
Yeah.
Should we bring him over and put him on the show for the next hour while you go to dinner?
He's saying he's going to come on later in the year when he's improved his English.
He says he's going to improve his English every year. That's the problem with Diego. He never does. The guy, here's the thing, Matheus, your English is not bad for a guy that does not live over here. Diego lives in Orlando, right? He lives in the United
Good
States. that I can understand. All right, what about this one here, guys? This is one of the hardest questions I think anyone's gotten. Team orders in karting specifically. I'll give it to either one of you. Marijn, we'll put you on the spot here first. What do you have you been in a situation like this? What do you think of team orders when it comes down to the big manufacturer team stuff like that?
I mean, there's one that really comes to mind where KR kind of screwed over Alex Powell last year for the European title. I think that those team orders are unnecessary as to they would have won it anyway with Alex, a KR driver too. But team orders to help your teammate out a little bit, I'm not against that. I felt my teammates out, maybe giving up a spot here or there in the heats or staying behind somebody in the heats to help their spot, their final placement without hurting my own. As long as you don't hurt your own performance with it or opportunities, then I don't think it's a bad thing.
What about you, Matheus? What do you think?
Well, I agree with him. Happened to me also in the World Championship. I had to let my teammate by because I had a big gap of points to the second for the starting position in the final. And I think it's correct, because if you can help your teammates to start more in front for the final, that's good also for yourself. That's something that can help you also in the final. So yeah, I've received a few team orders, but like Alex team order was a bit hard. I was there, and yeah, I don't have much to say about it.
What about all right, this was one we just got texted actually. What is question for you guys? Is there one race that you could think back here that maybe is the race that got away for you? Race that maybe you should have won, would have thought you could have won, and it just, is there anything that you could look back and be like, man, that one I should have had and I let that slip away or it got taken away? And you first. Any race that you could think of that comes to mind there?
Who first?
You yourself. Sorry. Eminem stuff.
First one that comes to mind obviously is Supernets. I don't remember what year it was exactly. I think it was 2019. When I was leading the main event. I won everything. I pulled it, won all the heats. Was leading the main event by I think 3 seconds or something like that, and then a red flag came out, and I let myself get overtaken, and finished second. Another one that got away was the World Championship in 2020 on the Ricardo card. I pulled it there as well, won all my heats, and then in the final had a bad start and just got outraced by Iglesias and finished second. So yeah, those are two that definitely got away, and I should have won, I think.
What about you, Matheus? Any race that you feel like got away, looking back?
Well, for sure there's a few races, but the one that I have in mind right now, that I have to say, is the Orlando race.
I could have won Orlando too.
Because I wanted to make 3 wins on all the finals. So Marijn made a mistake and took me out in the pre-final.
I broke to him.
And
I was gonna say,
yeah,
see, that was the race I was gonna ask you guys about. Now, how long did it take you guys to get over that? Because you Marijn broke a little bit early, and he tried to beat in your front bumper with his rear bumper, right?
Well, yeah. I don't really know what happened anymore, because first when I finished the race, for me I broke on top of water. But then watching the video, doesn't seem to have water, but I know had water. And yeah, it's because one corner before that, he put me a bit out of the track. I was a bit mad, but I swear that I didn't want to take him out, and it was like crazy because after that, we just crashed. And I stayed out the race thinking, oh my God, what do I say now? What do I say now? And then I stop in the scales and I don't speak with him. So he got angry. But I was fine after that. He was the one that wasn't fine with the situation.
We can laugh about it now.
We made up when I went over to Europe to do some coaching. And Matheus walked past the tent, and I just said, hey. And then he said, hey, and walked by. And then at the end of the evening, he's like, oh, you still mad? He texted me. He's like, oh, you still mad? I'm like, no, we're fine, whatever. And he's like, oh, but you're still mad? You're still mad? I'm like, no, bro, like, whatever. I say hi every time I see you. Like, I don't care. Like, I owe you one, but we're fine. We can be normal. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, I really want to be normal because you're like a really good friend of mine. And I miss you and all this. So he's like being a real girl about it and apologizing. So I just let it go.
So you let it go. So I was going to say, if you owe him one, it'd be a team-on-team violence here. So we talk about team orders, right? Is there any race you get him back, but now we're under the same team? Where does that put your head at for this year? You owe him one little break in the water moment, right?
Yeah, but I got some friends that maybe wanna help me out and settle the score for me, so I don't have to do it myself. I don't know if he's watching.
We We have this one's from Vladimir Miskelis. Matheus, where would you say is hardest to race? Brazil, Europe, USA? Where do you find the most competitive drivers?
Well, I think everywhere can be hard, but I would say Europe, because Europe we have more drivers, and usually in Europe we have 30 drivers, 25 drivers that can maybe win the race. In US, I think we have 10. So this makes Europe a bit harder to race, but for sure it's hard everywhere. And it's like many people told me like, oh, now you won the world championship, you need to win super nets, and it's not how things work, because it's hard also in super nets. The level of drivers is high, so yeah, I think can be hard everywhere. Just depends of how many drivers that can be up in the front.
What is this? Hold on, let me take this banner down. We actually got this other question that came in. It's from Jonathan Rodriguez. The Uno engine in Brazil. What's the Uno engine? Is this a joke? Are these guys messing with you? What is the Uno engine?
No, that's a joke from a friend of mine, because there's a bad song in Brazil that says Uno. Uno is not a bad word. It's actually a car, but it's a really bad song with the car, and they keep laughing about. And in the new year, we listened this song, and it was like really fun. So since then, I've been receiving so many messages with this Uno.
Okay. And then what about this last one here? We got one more. This is from Jake Phillips asking favorite class to race in, favorite thing you've driven. Marijn, you're up. Favorite class.
I've got to say shifter, don't I? We're trying to grow it, so yeah, definitely shifter. I mean, it's definitely the best to hot lap in. Racing, if you can race, it's awesome, but most of the times people are a little bit afraid to overtake and go for a move, so it just becomes driving behind each other.
Yeah, and before you get to Matheus here, I want to go back to that really quickly. We had Danny, AJ, and Wick on the show after Supernats kind of talking about it. I think we've had you on the show to talk a little bit about, especially when we go to these temporary racetracks, but any track in general, right? We're trying to, get the shifters resurgence, if you will, in the States. And AJ brought up a good point about how the tires we've been running the last couple of years, going maybe from 2019, I think, don't lay down as much rubber. So in your case, on the track design from Supernats, would you attribute that more to it, of why we saw almost a follow the leader shifter heats and main, just the rubber not coming down, you think?
100%, I agree with AJ on that. Like the tires nowadays are almost made out of plastic, I feel like. There's no rubber on it. There's no rubber going down on the track, and that definitely doesn't help racing on temporary racetracks like that, where there's just no improvement over the weekend on track. So it becomes very, very difficult to overtake. If you go offline just a little bit, there's zero grip, and the tire is not going to grip up at all, so you're just going to go straight.
And does that matter to you guys too, right? With the less rubber, does that keep you in first gear more? Because that's the thing one thing I've learned from this show is hearing from you guys. We try to stay away from first gear corners because that's the toughest to get out of. With less rubber coming down, in theory, right, you're down in that lower gear a lot more often.
100%. In Vegas, I was using first gear in every hairpin. I know other people they were running different gearing, but at the end of the day, using second gear was so risky. If someone in front of you slows down a little bit more, you're just going to buck down and not going to get out of the corner. So I was just using first gear just to be safe and just to be safe, really. So I don't think, no matter what track design you do, you're not going to get out of that for shifter drivers as long as you use this rubber.
And Matheus, we'll just go ahead and answer that question for you. The Uno class is obviously your favorite class to run for go-karts then, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, but I think my favorite class is X30. Okay. I haven't raced KZ
that doesn't
yet.
count. No, you can't say X30 and OK. That's two different classes. You have a direct drive and you have a button start. That's a cheated up answer.
Well, so my favorite one is OK. First reason is because I won the World Championship in OK.
Oh.
And, well, comparing OK and KZ, I don't know. I really like driving KZ as well, but I still haven't raced. But I don't know. I don't like watching KZ race. It's a bit boring because drivers many times don't pass the others. And I think in OK you have more action, and this I like a lot. So yeah, my favorite one is OK for sure.
I actually want to change my answer. I reckon the Honda Cadet is the best. No, I'm not joking.
Really?
When I started racing in Holland, in minis, I raced Honda Cadet, the 4-stroke engine. They're not powerful at all, but all the engines were so close, and in performance-wise, that it was just one big train of go-karts pushing each other, and 10 guys just pushing each other all the way through to the end, and switching positions every other corner, and the racing was just so much fun in it.
So it sounds like we need to get you in a Briggs race then, or a Tillotson race, one of the
I
American.
want to do that race in Indiana, the big one.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get PSL to enter me.
That's all right. We'll go ahead and announce it here. Marijn Kremers is on the driver market for CKNA Grands this year if anyone wants to bring him out. Last question. Yeah. So this one piggybacks a little bit, I feel like, off the rubber, right? The European tracks, naturally, when we say European, we're talking probably more Italy than anything else. The standard tracks between Adria, Lenato, the difference between the U.S. and the European. All right, I know what you're laughing at here. Alessandro DeTullio in the chat says that he says that you like the 4-stroke better because it's easier to avoid the walls at slow speed. You have any clap back here for Ale? We should have had him on the show. I just didn't invite him this week.
No, I don't. I'll make a TikTok about it. I'll get it.
But the Euro tracks, they see more owner carts, I would say, at least the couple of Italian ones that host all the major races. So is there rubber laid down more? Is that the big difference? Is there any other difference or anything you could point out from the U.S. stuff to the Euro stuff?
I reckon the European tire puts down more rubber. Also, there's just more go-karts going around the track all time. So yes, there's definitely more rubber. That's, I think, the main difference between racing in Europe and in the US is how you race, dealing with the grip levels. In the US, there's just never coming down that much rubber. So when I hear people in the tent or around the pedal complaining about having too much grip, I just laugh, because like I don't think that's possible really for me here in the US. But yeah, the tracks itself, the European tracks, just they're a little bit wider, a little bit more open, I think, maybe a little bit faster than the US tracks. They're usually a little bit more twisty.
That makes sense here. The last comment, Ariel Castro, your old buddy here, Matheus, and yours as well, an engine builder, Marijn, asking if you guys are cuddling together. So let's end off on that. Nice little shared bed. There's only 2 beds in that room. Diego's in the room. So did they stick you guys on a cot? What kind of accommodations is this American factory team? Oh, you're saying no, Matheus? Not at all? Not once?
I have my own bed. I don't know what these guys are doing. I was told that I have a room together with Matheus, but Diego is very comfy in that bed, I think, so I don't think he'll be going anywhere. But I have my own bed.
Fair enough.
No, he's not sleeping with me. He have his own room, and he just wanted to stay here with us. But I don't know why. He's
very comfy in that bed, I think. So he'll be sleeping there together with Matheus.
Well, we appreciate having you boys on. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Matheus, Marijn, and Diego over in the corner. Thanks as well for, showing up, I guess. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. We'll wrap up the show on that note, everybody. Here is Diego joins on in. The Red Army is going to be strong in 2022. All 3 of those guys obviously will be here next week. They're already in town. We're going to be in town soon. That's all coming your guys' way. We have actually some really cool announcements with Superkarts USA coming in the coming days. We've got a lot of content we're planning on doing. There is a lot of moving parts. So I'm excited. 2023 is underway. Next week, Matt Johnson, TJ Coyen, and more will join our analyst panel for a happy hour show live. In my case, it'll probably be somewhere in an RV down in Homestead or somewhere around South Florida where we'll be for next Tuesday night. And then through the week, The nice part of our now upgraded transportation to get to the racetrack is I'm hoping we'll get to do some trackside live shows. We've experimented with it a little bit. We got to do a couple post-race shows at the Supercarts USA Supernat. So if you want more goofy content from those three knuckleheads and the rest of the paddock, we'll have a lot of that coming around here. So there's so much more to come. But again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in so far here tonight, that'll be tuning in this year. It is, as we mentioned and as we brought up earlier in this show, a stacked calendar of races for us live and regionally as well. Of course, with the showcase series, you can find all that information through all of our posts and everything that's on our pages already. It's all coming your guys' way. Thank you so much here. We will see you next week on Happy Hour with a little bit of a different crew and maybe someone that can speak a little better English than Diego. So hopefully we get that. We'll see you guys next on week.